Max Verstappen has owned Suzuka, winning here 4 times in a row. He knows this track like it's mapped in his head. Every braking point, every corner where you push, every hidden line others miss completely. But then Saturday hit and everything flipped upside down. He didn't even make it out of Q2. Knocked out by Arvid Lindblad, a rookie, first season, driving a Racing Bulls car with Red Bull DNA under the hood. It's the kind of result nobody saw coming. The upgrades Red Bull brought to Japan were supposed to help him, but instead they made the car feel even more unstable. Not better, worse, and you could hear it in his words. This wasn't just frustration. This was beyond that. Not anger, not determination, something deeper, something harder to explain. Up front, the story looked completely different. Kimi Antonelli put the W17 on pole again, back-to-back races, and did it with authority. 0.3 seconds clear of George Russell. This is the same Russell leading the championship, the experienced voice in the garage, the guy who has waited years for a car like this, and still got outpaced by a 19-year-old in just his second F1 season. Even Mercedes admitted it. Toto Wolff confirmed they made a setup mistake on Russell's car, and there's no fixing it before the race. Ferrari, same pattern, same frustration, quick enough in the middle of the session, looking competitive. Then when Q3 hits, they fade when it matters most. If you want the full breakdown of what really went down at Suzuka and what it means for the title fight, you're exactly where you need to be. There's a version of Verstappen that Formula One has learned to fear over the years, the intense one, the version that shows up fired up, channels everything into the car and just tears through the field like it's nothing. That version has delivered some of the wildest, most unforgettable performances we've seen in years. But Suzuka? It didn't bring that energy at all. Instead, it showed something way more worrying, a version of Verstappen that looks like he's gone past anger completely. He even described his mindset as being beyond pain, and that says everything. This isn't just frustration anymore. It's a driver starting to lose belief that pushing harder will fix anything, and that shift hits harder than any bad lap time. The breaking point came with that upgrade package Red Bull brought to Japan. New side pods, fresh aero tweaks. On paper, it all looked like progress. Engineers told Verstappen after Friday that everything was working just fine. But by qualifying, his reaction told a totally different story. From his side, the car felt worse. The upgrades didn't stabilize it. They made it unpredictable, shaky, and hard to trust. He couldn't push the car the way he needed to. Corners that demand full commitment suddenly felt risky, with oversteer creeping in at the worst moments. Every time he tried to squeeze out more pace, the car pushed back instead of delivering. And then came the shock, knocked out in Q2 by Arvid Lindblad, a rookie in his first Formula One season, at a track Verstappen has dominated for years. Now it's a pattern you can't ignore. That's 2 Q2 eliminations in just 3 races this season. For context, across the last 4 years at Suzuka, he never missed Q3 once. The track hasn't changed, the driver hasn't changed, but the car? Completely different story right now, and it's not responding no matter what they try. Red Bull are searching, but nothing is clicking yet. When Mercedes locked in their 2026 driver lineup, everyone in the paddock thought they had it figured out. Russell would be the leader, Antonelli would take his time learning, and the team's strongest car in years would be handled by the experienced driver while the teenager adjusted to the pressure of Formula One. But 3 races in, that whole idea is falling apart fast. Antonelli has out-qualified Russell at every single round so far. In China, he didn't just compete, he won the race. Then, at Suzuka, he took pole by 0.3 of a second. That's not a small edge, not some lucky moment, that's total control in one of the toughest qualifying sessions we've seen this season. And Toto Wolff didn't try to cover it up or spin the story. He came out and said exactly what the data already showed. The team got the setup wrong on Russell's car, too little rear grip, too much weight on the front, and no way to fix it before race day. A situation that leaves any driver fighting an uphill battle. Russell even said it himself during the session, saying he had no rear. The car just wasn't working for him. But even when you factor in that setup issue, the gap between the two Mercedes drivers has been too consistent across all three races to ignore. This isn't just a one-off problem. Antonelli isn't just handling the W17, he's pushing it right to the edge and making it deliver. Lap after lap, he's extracting performance in a way that's turning heads across the grid and raising serious questions inside that Mercedes garage. Russell just hasn't been able to match that level. Yes, he's sitting on 51 points and still leading the championship, but that table only tells part of the story. Those points come from just 2 races, while the qualifying trend is painting a much bigger picture over time. And when the fastest car on the grid is painted silver, who actually controls it becomes a massive deal. Ferrari, on the other hand, are stuck in a frustrating loop that's becoming one of the biggest technical talking points of the 2026 season. In Q1 and Q2, the SF26 looks quick, seriously quick. Leclerc and Hamilton are putting in laps that make it seem like they can fight for the front row without a problem. Then Q3 hits, and everything falls apart. At Suzuka, Leclerc dropped a 129.03 in Q2, a strong, confident lap that set him up perfectly. But when it came time to go all out in Q3, he couldn't beat it. His final run, the one that should have been the best of the weekend, ended up slower than what he already did earlier. Hamilton followed the exact same pattern, fast enough to stay in the fight through the middle of qualifying, but when it was time to squeeze out every last bit of performance, the pace just disappeared. That final step, the one that separates contenders from pole sitters, just isn't there right now. And the reason? It keeps coming back to energy management. Ferrari and Vasseur have both pointed in that direction in different ways. In Q3, every team pushes their systems to the absolute edge. Every bit of stored electrical energy gets deployed aggressively, but at that limit, the SF26's software starts to struggle. The power delivery isn't lining up cleanly, and instead of the car going faster when pushed harder, it hits a wall. Vasseur described it in a way that says everything. You push the system too hard, and it basically gets confused. At Suzuka, Leclerc had a moment through Spoon Curve on his final lap that looked like it cost him time. But then he revealed something wild. It actually helped him. The way the car snapped and moved changed his energy deployment just enough to give him more power later in the lap. Think about that for a second. A driver at Leclerc's level saying a mistake made him faster. That's not normal. That's a system that isn't working the way it should. It tells you exactly where Ferrari's qualifying software stands right now, and it's not where a top team wants to be. Now look at the grid for Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix, because it's loaded with tension. Antonelli is starting from pole, clean air, full control. Russell is right behind in third, but with a setup Toto Wolff has already admitted is compromised, and worse, it can't be fixed before the race. That situation flips the pressure completely. You've got Antonelli out front with everything working in his favor, while the championship leader is stuck chasing with a car that's already been called out by his own team. That's not just a disadvantage, it's one created internally, and it could shape the entire race. Behind them, Ferrari and McLaren are packed into that front midfield fight. Norris and Piastri are right there, and even McLaren's own engineers expect Ferrari to come alive during the race. The SF26 has stronger mechanical grip and tyre management than its qualifying pace shows. And then there's Verstappen, starting deep in the midfield after that shocking Q2 exit, stuck trying to recover in a race where everything already feels like it's slipping away. And this is where the race starts to twist even more. Suzuka isn't a track where you can just slice through the field easily. Track position matters, rhythm matters, and one small mistake can trap you in dirty air for lap after lap. That puts drivers like Verstappen in a brutal spot right from the lights out. If he gets stuck behind slower cars early, his race could spiral fast. The balance issues haven't magically disappeared overnight, and following other cars only makes instability worse. So now it's not just about pace, it's about survival, timing, and making bold moves at exactly the right moment. Up front, Antonelli has the perfect launchpad. Clean air, no traffic, and a car that's clearly dialed in for qualifying and beyond. If he controls the first stint, he can dictate everything: strategy, pace, even how hard the drivers behind have to push their tyres. But keep an eye on Russell. Even with that compromised setup, he's not out of this. If he can manage the rear grip early and stay within range, strategy could bring him back into play. Pit timing, safety cars, undercuts. This race has enough variables to flip everything upside down in seconds. And don't overlook Ferrari and McLaren in the mix. If race pace really is their strength, they could start picking off positions while others struggle. That midfield battle at the front isn't just noise, it's a real threat to the podium fight. Everything is set up for a race where nothing feels secure. One clean start, one mistake, one perfectly timed call, and the entire order could explode. This race for Verstappen isn't about chasing a win. It's about damage control, plain and simple. The real question isn't if he can fight at the front. It's whether that instability that wrecked his qualifying is still there over a full race distance. If those upgrades keep throwing the car off balance, then even limiting the points loss to the championship leaders starts looking difficult. At the back, Aston Martin are still stuck in a rough place. Alonso, who just became a father this week, lines up in the AMR26, but based on the last 3 races, finishing isn't even guaranteed. That's been the pattern so far, and nothing coming out of Japan suggests things are about to improve on Sunday. 3 qualifying sessions into the 2026 season, and the picture is getting clearer every single weekend. Mercedes have the fastest car on the grid, no debate. But now they've got something nobody expected, an internal fight that's heating up fast. Antonelli isn't here to learn anymore. He's here to compete, and right now, he's delivering at the highest level. At Suzuka, on this day, he was simply faster than everyone else. That puts Russell in a tough spot. The pressure isn't coming from rivals, it's coming from inside his own garage, and how he responds to that could define his entire season from here. Ferrari? Dangerous on Sundays, no doubt. But when it comes to qualifying, they just can't lock it in when it matters most. And Verstappen? He's dealing with something deeper than frustration. A car that actually got worse after a major upgrade, and a Red Bull team that's running out of answers fast. Suzuka doesn't decide a championship, but it asks serious questions. It exposes cracks, confirms who's really strong, and forces every team to face reality. And after this phase of the season, those answers are going to shape everything that comes next. Drop your thoughts below and make sure you're subscribed for the next deep dive.